Hello everyone, welcome to KozStreamsTV. I'm Koz, and I just want to say a quick thank you for spending some time checking out my videos. If you like what you see, hit that like and subscribe button as it goes a long way in letting me know what you want to see more of. Now, let's jump into the video. It has been a very good week for my Brewmaster. He has felt amazing. We've done a ton of keys. All of our vault slots are heroic for the raid, so 3 heroic vault slots, and then we have 3 20 or higher mythic plus vault slots as well. So he is looking fantastic. What did we do on him this week? Let's take a look. So he finished last week at 2670 IO, and this week we are sitting at 2814. Huge progress with the monk. He's felt really good this week with fortified and his item level. I feel like I could push a little higher, but at the time of recording, this is where we're at. It's late Monday night. I won't get any time in Tuesday. So what do we run this week? We completed a 22 Ataldazar, 21 Wakerest Manor, 121 Darkhide Thicket. We actually tried a 22, but we're unsuccessful again. We had a suboptimal comp, no battle res, no lust. It was pretty rough. 21 Everbloom. We actually did a 20 and a 21 this week. 20 Galakron's Fall, a 20 Black Rockhold. Black Rockhold felt pretty painful at the beginning. If you can get through that first couple packs with all the casts, it was easy to continue from there, but that key hurt. I actually failed a couple 21s and 22s, but we did time a 20. We completed a 20 Throne of the Tides, and for some reason, this key brought out the best in people this week. I ran a 21 and a 22, multiple 21 and 22s, and none of them ever finished. Either they would die very early because people couldn't survive some of the pulls, and I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary, doing the standard big pull at the beginning and the big pull when you go up the ladder, but for whatever reason, we just couldn't get through it, or it would be the last hallway, people would continue to fall over, and the queue would just bomb out and someone would leave. So Throne of the Tides this week, for some reason, was a lot harder than it needed to be. As a tank, I wasn't having any issues with it, but some of the people I came with, they were, so we ended up getting a 20. It's the best we could do. And then we also have a Morazon's Rise 20. I ran this key at a 21 and a 22. Neither of them ended up finishing. For example, the Double Dragon, after you finish the maze and get to the other side, usually you lust that pack. It hurts a lot. One of the problems I found with this is that when it does this big AoE frontal, it still drops swirlies under your feet as a tank. And I really think they should fix that because you cannot see the swirly under your feet with the AoE. Gold on gold doesn't work, Blizzard. Figure it out. The other challenging pull in Morazon's Rise is when you go left to the Time Lost battlefield. That tank destroyer just before you pull the boss also requires a loss and it hurts significantly without it. That boss also hits very hard even on a fortified week. So I'm kind of concerned going into that next week trying to push 21s and 22s, as that is a very challenging boss that hits very hard even on fort. I think Blizzard still needs to do some tuning on that one. Overall, the monk felt fantastic. I was able to do big pulls on fortified with lust and the amount of damage I could output with the Prot's Tainted Rage Heart plus fortifying brew and dampen harm. He felt unkillable. It was really nice doing some of the pulls, seeing the damage numbers, seeing the health numbers go up. Brewmaster Monk played very well this week. Overall, just for a quick view, we ended up finishing the week 34th. It has proven to be very difficult to get back into the top 20. As of this recording, I'm 34th, and I'm happy with that. I will continue to push on the monk. We're looking at 21s and 22s next week. So just to quickly review, what are some of the gear upgrades we got this week? We didn't really get much for gear. We did end up getting a cloak from Wakerest Manor. Crit haste. Again, haste is kind of useless to us, but we'll take it. It is an upgrade. It's hero track. This week off Heroic Ingra, we got our tier hands, which are hero track. This actually gave us our 4-piece since we already had the head. And some of the upgrades that we completed is we did an upgrade to our head to 489. We upgraded our weapon to 483, and we upgraded our legs to 483 as well. Currently, we don't have enough crests to continue these upgrades, but moving into next week, these should go up even higher. All right, let's take a look at what we got on the monk in the vault. We're on the Brewmaster spec. Let's do it. Ooh, all right. We have shoulders, which we do not need since we do not catalyze this piece. A waist, which we do not need because we have a crafted waist. Straight from Fyrak himself, our best in slot weapon. I am going to do a sim before I choose to take that. We also got the same crit mastery ring we got last week at 483, two-handed staff, which we would not be taking, and a one-handed sword, which we would not be taking. So, realistically, our best option is Rashawn's. However, after running a sim, it actually sims lower than my current Thorn Collar, my other one-hander. So that is actually surprising. 1400 DPS lower. So even though Rashawn's actually sims lower, I'm going to take it anyway because I want the transmog, and that means it's one less weapon that anyone else needs to battle over when we do our loot rolls. And the monk is starting this week off with a 22 Waycrest Manor. Pretty good. Taking a look at the warrior, we ended up filling up his vaults with 18s or higher. Now taking a look at his RAN keys, as you can see, it's looking really good. He went from 1500 IO at the start of a week up to 2158. I'm very happy with that. He got his token. We catalyzed a couple pieces. We'll look at that in a minute. So we ended up completing a 20 Galacron's Fall. That's our first 20 this season on the warrior, a 19 Blackrook Hold, a 19 Everbloom, an 18 Waycrest Manor, an 18 Atal Dazar. We failed a 19 Dark Art Thicket. Once again, Thicket with that I went in with a suboptimal comp. We had no battle res and we had no lust, and our kicks were terrible. So we did finish it, but it was not very smooth, but it is done. We ended up getting an 18 Throne of the Tides and we failed a 19 Rise. Once again, another challenging key. This week, both Dawn of the Infinite keys were very challenging. However, on the warrior, it felt fine. Being able to use Spell Reflect, Shield Wall, and Shield Block, it did make me feel comfortable. It did make me feel safe. I kept the tip from last week and maintained the same talents running keys, and they felt fine. Our overall damage ranged between 70 and 90k. We're still a little under geared. We're going to look over that in a minute, but overall, warrior felt very fun to play. Even in those challenging situations where we do big pulls, going in right away, I'd get hit really hard and my health would drop. However, I used Impending Victory to get a quick heal off, and then I'd pop Shield Wall, and I'm usually okay to get the healer would get me up and the pack would start dying. With Shockwave, we did okay. Alright, so taking a look at some of our gear upgrades, again, just from running a lot of keys, that's where we got most of our gear. We did not run any raid on him this week, so still running the same weapons. We did end up getting some bracers with a socket, so we put Leech on it. Still running the same 2 rings from last week. We did get the Crab from Throne of the Tides. This was actually traded to us, and it was an improvement over these Akali. We crafted our 486 belt using the Aspect crests, and then we also got our 2-in-2 piece with the chest and the hands. So overall, the warrior is up to 456. I believe he was just under 450 starting this week. So definitely in a good shape, and I do plan on continuing to play him. Overall, the warrior felt great this week. Some of the more challenging keys landed within the Dawn of the Infinites. For some reason, the ads hit so much harder than any other key, as well as Waycrest Manor. There's some stuff in there that kind of would hit you harder than you'd expect. All right, warrior bolt time. Let's go, weapon. Rolling in Prot spec. All right. So we have a 483 back piece, which is a significant upgrade if I were to take it. We have a 480 shield crit haste, not our best in slot, but a massive upgrade over last season's 441. And then we have crit mastery wrists. It would have been really nice to see this cloak in my monk's vault slot, because this would have been one of his best in slot cloaks. But the warrior does need a shield, and it's heavy on the haste, so we are going with this shield on the warrior. And it looks like this week the warrior starts with a 20 Throne of the Tides. And with this shield, that brings us up to 458 on the warrior. Believe it or not, this week I actually dropped the druid and started healing on my Resto Chamois. He's been level 70 for a while, I just haven't really done with him. I used to main Resto back in Shadowlands, and I originally started playing in Cataclysm, so it's always been a fun class for me to play. But let's take a look at how I look. We're going to start off by taking a look at the gear upgrades. Now, my Chamois actually started at 423 coming into this season. So he was pretty low, and I started doing keys on him, trying to get gear, and it actually worked out pretty well. We got a few, we got a lot of pieces, and going from 423, we're now 445. Really big upgrade there. A couple pieces that I crafted. I did make the wrists. That is the recommended piece to craft. So I started with the wrists. And then I also needed a belt because I was running a 408, and it was just easier to craft a 447. So we took care of that as well. Now we still have a 421 trinket. This trinket is actually from the Emerald Dream as part of doing the regular quests. So I picked that up just to kind of run with something. But overall, we ended up catalyzing the chest and the hands to give us our current 2-piece. And then we're still running the old 2-piece as well. We also have 2 other pieces we're going to catalyze, which is the legs and the shoulder. We have to wait a couple more weeks for that. We are also aiming to get 2k IO, which we're going to review here in a minute. So some of the other upgrades we got just from running keys this week, and we did also run a normal raid. Loot was terrible in raid though, so don't expect to see much out of there. So looking over the gear, we ended up getting a headpiece just from running keys, champion track. We ended up getting a back piece, also champion. We got a pair of male feet, which are veteran. This is from doing lower keys. We got 2 rings. Not the greatest stats, but we did get 2 rings. And then we're still running beacon and the trinket from last season, like I said. And then we also received the weapon. So overall, Chamois feels fun to play. Let's take a look at some of the keys he completed this week, and we can kind of discuss that a little further. So like we said earlier, this week was Fortified, Volcanic, and Spiteful. Spiteful is a kind of a pain to deal with in smaller hallways. Waycrest is one of those. Darkheart Thicket at the end there was very challenging. Throne of the Tides. So there's a few dungeons that were they're not very fun to deal with when it comes to Spiteful because you don't have a lot of room to move around. And Spitefuls move very quick. It feels as though Spitefuls have increased in speed. So as a Chamois, I'd hop into Ghost Wolf and run away as the Chamois. However, sometimes you got to stop and heal. So if Spirit Walker's Grace wasn't up, I ended up kind of struggling a little bit with healing. So overall, taking a look at the keys we actually ended up completing, keeping in mind we started at low keys and then worked our way up. We actually went with a group, which made it a little easier to push higher content. But I really did feel a cap at 445. Once I got into those 18s, it started to be a little more challenging. I would fall over occasionally into some of those harder hitting mechanics, right? So let's take a look here. We've got an 11 Rook, 14 Darkheart Thicket, a 16 Waycrest Manor, a 17 Throne of the Tides, a 17 Galakron's Fall, and an 18 Everbloom. Out of all of these keys, I would say the Fall was actually the most challenging with the magic damage, the dispels, and it was just a lot of damage going on constantly. So that was probably the most challenging key, and that's what's running in the background. And then the Everbloom actually felt fine. Really wasn't that challenging. It was a lot of fun running on the Chamois. I do plan on continuing to play him. Out of normal, we got nothing, but we're just going to keep pushing, having some fun with him. We'll see what it looks like next week. Overall, how did Chamois feel this week? I had a lot of fun playing it. It's always fun going in with a new class, starting at low keys, getting that gear, seeing the upgrades come in, having the ability to have such a short cooldown and throwing out Cap Totem very often. Everbloom made Everbloom an easy key. Even some of those Galakron's falls pulls, Cap Totem was invaluable, stunning all the Az during the big AoE pulls. Chamois is a fun class to play, especially in raids. I wasn't doing as well in raid, only because I wasn't using my Cloudburst totem effectively. So my healing was very low, however my damage was very high, so I was parsing in the 95 pluses range for damage, which is kind of funny. It was a 20-person, 3-healer raid, and it felt fine. Like, I was able to keep people alive, and we got through the raid just fine and normal. Dungeons felt fine as well. Some of the challenges, it's mainly around Spiteful. It was not very fun to play around. For example, if you got hit with Volcanic and the Spiteful is already chasing you, there's a good chance it's going to chunk you for about 50% of your health. That happened occasionally, right? Darkheart Thicket with the cast was a bit of a pain. If people aren't kicking, casts are going off. I can't get the spell off often enough, so it was a little challenging. In regards to mana wasn't too bad. There were times during big pulls or continuous pulls, by the time I hit the second or third pull, we had to take a break. I had to grab some mana, but overall, it wasn't very bad. It was a lot of fun actually playing the Chamois. I do plan to continue this because I'm looking forward to see what he can do once I get some more gear. All right, and the new class we played this week, the Chamois. Let's see what we get. Ooh, lots of items. We have a one-handed dagger haste verse. We have a waste champion track verse mastery. And then we have an offhand, which is a massive upgrade from last season's 424. We have crit haste feat at 489 level mythic track. We have our hero chest, but we did catalyze a champion, so we're just going to probably skip that. And we also got another chest here. So, since we plan on doing a lot more keys on the chamois coming up, I'm going to hold off on taking the offhand, as the goal would be to run some more keys and get an offhand from a dungeon on hero track or from the heroic raid. So I think we're going to take the feet this week. They are on mythic track, so we're going to take these for the massive item level upgrade. And the chamois has an 18 Galacron's fall to start with, bringing our item level up to 447. All right, and that's it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, hit that like and subscribe button to show me that you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week. Bonus content. I did play Aug as well. I only did time walking. I've learned that I'm a terrible Aug evoker. But hey, we got a ring and a trinket. Both are kind of useless to us, but hey, it's an item level upgrade. Let's take the ring. Hey, someone told me Death Knights are pretty good this season. I used the main one, so I actually did a key on him last week too. We're going to open Vaulted on a Holy Spec because there's no reason for defensive trinkets on a Death Knight. We got a neck piece. Can't really complain. It is an upgrade, but because we have a crafted lariat, we're probably just going to recraft it back up. So we're going to take the tokens.